Hello. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good. It's pretty warm here in Pennsylvania tonight. It is about 82 degrees, and it's actually beautiful out. Oh, sorry, medicine alarm. So, tonight we will be working with the tropical leaf set. Hey, Do. Hope you had a good trip. And the matching punch. Hi, Karen. How are you? So that's what we will be working with tonight. I actually have two cards. I have this one here, and the light is just doesn't do the card justice for sure. I used retired circle punch and the sunburst punch. This is die cuts from Forever Fern, and the textured chic. She was good in the car, great. And then I used Eden Garden die for the inside, and I die cut the designer series paper. Then we have a thank you card where I punched out the leaves, added the designer series paper in gold, and then just stamped the leaves on the inside. And then I made this cute little box. And here is the leaf. Now you'll notice that the leaves are gold embossed. The veins are gold embossed. Okay. You don't have to worry about writing down dimensions. I will I'll have a PDF on my blog tomorrow, and I will post it in the group. So let's start on the thank you card. I'm using Pear Pizzazz. It is a color that is retiring. And I am also using Evening Evergreen, and that too is retiring. So I'm going to start with a card base of 11 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 5 1/2. Okay, we'll put that aside. And then I am going to layer it up. And just make sure I have the right layers. I'm layering it up with Evening Evergreen. Hey, Karen, how are you, honey? 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then a basic white 5 1/4 by 4. The designer series paper that I will be adding to this layer is 4 by 1 1/2. And then I have a piece of gold foil that is a quarter by 4. All right. Now we know that for this layer, the designer series paper is going to go at the bottom. And I'm going to apologize. I did not have a chance to do my nails today, and my nail polish is peeling. All right. So I am going to stamp my sentiment on, and we're using thanks so much. And I'm going to grab my Evening Evergreen stamp pad. Thankfully, we can see through these, so I should be able to get this on here fairly straight. And I'm just going to leave my designer series paper there just as a guide so I can get the sentiment stamped onto the front. Just like that. All right, so now we can add our designer series paper. And I'm going to add it before I adhere it to the Evening Evergreen. So in case there's any overhang, I can trim it off with no problem. So I'm just going to lay this down here at the bottom. And where I'm using glue, I'm going to hold it up and push it down, and then do the same thing on this side. So I know that it's fairly flush with the sides of this basic white. And I think it looks pretty good. Let's just get this scooted down just a hair. All right, then I'm going to take my gold foil and I'm going to add some glue. And we're going to add this right to the top. Yeah, today was a crazy day. Had to wait. I've been carrying my phone around with me all day, waiting for the hospital to call to see when we need to be there tomorrow. I tell you, I stepped away from my phone for exactly 2 minutes. And that is when the phone rang. Thankfully, I was able to run and get to it before they hung up. They call so late with the schedule. Well, which isn't too bad. We have to be there. So I just adhered this layer to the evening evergreen, and I used seal instead of glue so it wouldn't show through. And then I'm just going to grab this and add it to the front of the card. So we have to be there by 2 tomorrow, which isn't too bad. We thought it was going to be later, so that's pretty good. Then I had to make reservations for Sheba. We're going to board her overnight just in case something happens and I don't have to rush back. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? Yeah, it's 80, I think it's like 85 here right now. And I didn't put the air conditioners in because Bill hasn't been feeling good and I don't think I can lift it by myself. I would need his help. So I didn't even get them up yet. All right. So now that we have the basic base done to our card, I'm going to grab a scrap piece of basic white and I'm going to use my silicone mat. And I'm going to grab the large leaf, and as you can see, it has evening evergreen around the edges, which is fine because that's what how I'm creating the leaf. And we're going to pull out some pear pizzazz. And I'm also going to pull out some evening evergreen and a dauber. All right. So we're going to take the large leaf. This is the leaf that matches the punch. Okay, there it is. And we are going to ink it up with pear pizzazz. All right. I want to make sure that it has a nice layer of ink. Then I'm going to take my dauber. I'm going to get some evening evergreen, and this is why I had it on the edges. I'm just going to go around the edge of the leaf, and I'm going just each and every section, pulling it up and pulling it up, and then give it a good stamp. And then we have a nice leaf with a few different colors. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Kathy. All right, so it's not just a solid color. And then what I'm going to do is just quickly grab my heat gun and just dry it a little bit. Just want to get it a little bit dry. I'm going to grab my embossing buddy and I'm just going to hit it with the embossing buddy. Then I'm going to grab the veins to this leaf and my Versamark and some gold embossing powder and a piece of scrap paper. And we are going to ink up the vein. Look at that Versamark. Isn't that terrible? And we're going to stamp the veins on this leaf. We're going to add some gold embossing powder. That looks pretty good. Covered it really nicely. And then let's heat this up. Okay, so there is, yes, it is. So there is the leaf, and we have some nice pretty gold veins. So let's grab that punch. And we're gonna punch this leaf out. So naturally, I punched it too close to the top. So we gotta just trim the bottom a little bit here. Oops. So it'll fit in here. Just line it up so it looks good. And give it a punch. And it is a perfect fit. All right. And to save us time and energy, I have 2 others for the front of this card. So we'll pull in our card. And I'm going to start with the one of the leaves and the top of the card. I'm going to grab some dimensionals. And we're going to pop this up on the front of this card. And I'm going to use the point to line it up and get it onto the front of the card. Then I'm going to put the one here on the bottom. And I just wanted to change the direction. So we're going to have this one facing up and to the right. So we're going to put it right in here. And again, just want to line it up a little bit with the edges of the card. Just like that. And then we're going to grab the next leaf. And this time I'm going to use double dimensionals. So let's put our dimensionals on. I just want to make sure that I'm not hitting. Okay. I'll put it down here. So we're going to put our layer of dimensionals. And then I am going to add an additional layer because I want this up higher than the other 2 leaves. Of course, it would cost extra because of the thickness of the card. So this would be a card you would have to, would be a good idea to just hand to the recipient, right? Okay. Now this time I'm going to face it down since these 2 are up, and I am going to overlap the 2 leaves, and this one is higher than the 2 that we already put. Yeah, it's perfect, right, Kathy? All right, so that's the front of our card. Now, before I go to the inside, I'm using the red and green adhesive backed pearls. And actually, I'm taking the gold, and I am going to put one in the corner and then one right underneath. Line it up. And that is the front of our card. Now for the inside, let's grab that mat. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper and our large leaf, and we're going to do these leaves again with our evening evergreen and our pear pizzazz. So let's ink it up. Make sure it's got a good layer of ink on it. And then add some evening evergreen to the edges. And you know what? I may have used the smaller leaf. So let's put this one in the center, and then I'll pull the smaller one. So we'll put that right there. And we'll grab the small leaf, and we'll do the small leaf on the side. Now for the smaller leaf, all I'm going to do is just go right around the edge. And then we'll put one here. And then do it again. Add our evening evergreen. And we'll put one right here. Just a nice, quick and easy inside to our card. Grab our base. Now this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And the basic white is 5 1/4 by 4. Just like the front of the card. And then we can grab our glue. Grab the inside of our card. And glue this in. Hey Ruth, how are you? Yeah, sunny and warm in Pennsylvania too. It's beautiful today. All right, so there is card number 1. And I hope you like it. So now card number 2 is a bit different. We are going to start with, again, pear pizzazz. This time the layer is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. Now we don't want that piece. Scored by 4 1/4. And this time we're going to use it landscape. Yeah, you like greens, right, Doo? All right, then we are going to layer it up. Here it is. With another piece of evening evergreen. And this is the Texture Chic Designer Series paper. And it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, 5 1/4 by 4. And we can actually just add some glue, get our layers together. I'm going to pick it up to make sure I get it on here straight. And then we can add some glue and add it to the front of our card. There we go. All right, so there is our card base. Aw, thanks, Kathy. All right, so easy card base. Next, I am going to grab a piece of basic white. See what I did with my ruler. And this measures 3 3/4 by 3. And we're going to grab our mat. we are going to grab the small little leaf, and I'm actually going to clean it quick so I don't have any evening evergreen on it right now. Okay. And we're going to grab our pear pizzazz. And I am going to just grab a small piece of scrap that I can just lay here on the side. And what I'm going to do is create some designer series paper. So I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to stamp off, and we're going to just stamp this piece with pear pizzazz. Oops. And I'm changing the direction of the leaves so it doesn't look like it was, that I just stamped. Just want to change it up a little bit. Let's pull this one this way. Whoops. So I'm just stamping off and then stamping my basic white. All right, so we have some leaves on the background. Now I'm going to pull in my evening evergreen, grab that dauber, and we're going to do the same thing as we did with the big leaves. We're going to ink up the small leaf, get some edges on here, and then we are going to stamp the back again. Make sure it's inked up good. And again, we're just going to add these on randomly. Let's put one right about here. Now you notice where we're stamping over the stamped images, it is a little darker, but we're just adding some. Let's go this way this time. And I'm just going to leave the 4 leaves. Now let's close this up. I'm going to grab my heat gun and just dry it off a little. Okay. Let's grab that beautiful Versamark. And we also have veins for the small. So I'm going to grab a new scrap piece of paper. I'm going to get my gold opened up here. And we're going to put the veins on these little leaves. And I'm just going to line them up. Turn it. Whoops. And then one more. Let's get this one here. All right, so we got our Versamark and stamp the veins. Grab my scrap and let's add some embossing powder. That looks good. Let's get rid of this. And let's emboss these leaves. Okay, so we just did these leaves randomly. Let's just get it cooled off for a second so I don't ruin that embossing. I'm just going to grab my ruler again. Now that this is embossed, I'm going to pull out my trimmer and we are going to cut this at 1 1/4. So that's 1, and then 1 1/4 again, and then we're left with 1 1/4. And once they're cut, you want to make sure that when you separate them, they're correct. So these leaves are supposed to be together. You don't want to mix them up like this, okay? You want them to be in order because we're going to mat them to some pear pizzazz, and this measures 3 1/8 by 1 3/8, and we have 3 of them. So I'm going to add glue to these. Since we did stamp it, we should not be able to see the glue through. Plus, I'm not going to use very much. And we're going to adhere this to this pear pizzazz layer. So there's one. Let's grab, this is the second piece. And again, I want to make sure it's on here straight. And that's 2. And then we grab our third piece and add our glue and do it again. All right, so there are our 3 panels. Hi, Dawn, how are you? Let's pull in our card base and let's grab our dimensionals. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, we have our 3 pieces. I'm going to start with the centerpiece. That is going to be the piece that I want to make sure is lined up and in the center of the card. So when I put the other 2 panels on, everything is uniform. And at least the edges, I have it the same amount of space away from each edge. Okay, so we want to make sure that it is in the right direction. I'm going to grab my card and I'm just going to eyeball it and center it on the card, hoping that it is straight. And that looks like it is off just a tiny bit. All right, so there is panel 1. Now I can put my other 2 panels on. And I'm going to grab my dimensionals again, and I'm going to pop it up. So let's add our dimensionals. I want to make sure that these stay up and on. Let's pull them off this time. Now when we get this one, we want to make sure that it is even top and bottom, and then centered between this space here. So I'm just going to stand up, and again, I'm eyeballing it And I think I'll lay it right about there. And then we're going to do the same thing to the last panel. Now, if you are so inclined, you can take out your ruler and measure the center of your card, and then measure the center of that first panel. All right, so there is our third panel. And I'm just going to turn it, make sure it's the right way, and lay it on the front of the card. All right, so there is our panel. Okay. Oh my goodness, 8 inches. You get, oh, how nice, Karen. I did that once years ago. That's so nice. All right, so like I said, I used Forever Fern, the dies, for the leaves, and I just actually want this top piece. And I also used this one from, I guess they're called Forever Fern dies. And also the gold little, I don't even know, swag. Okay, so we need those. Like I said, I use the Starburst punch that is not available, and our circle punch. This circle punch is actually 2 inches. I'm going to grab my Evening Evergreen and the sentiment that says hello. Oh, here it is. And that's on the wrong base. So let's get a different block. And we're going to just stamp hello. This is the one I used for the leaf. That's why my block is so green. Put hello right in the center. Let's grab that Starburst. Oops. And I'm just going to add some glue and adhere that right to there. Now, while that's drying, I am going to grab some, this is soft sea foam ribbon that is retired. I've been going through my stuff in my room, trying to get ready for an online sale, and some of the things I've just been trying to use. All right, that one's almost dry. And then I'm grabbing my light old olive blend, and we're just going to color this ribbon. It almost looks like pear pizzazz with old olive and soft sea foam ribbon. And then we can let this take a minute to dry while we finish the rest of the card. All right, so there's our ribbon ready to go. Let's pull our card back in, and I am going to grab this evergreen, evening evergreen sprig of leaves, and we're just going to add some glue, and we're going to add it right here on the card. I'm going to grab the pear pizzazz leaves, and the same, I'm just adding a bit of glue to the bottom, and we're going to add that just like that. All right. My hello, instead of popping it up, I'm actually going to add some glue. I'm tilting my hello, and we're going to add it right on top. And I'm just going to hold it for a second to make sure it adheres. And then I'm going to take this little swag, add some glue, and I'm going to add it right underneath the hello. All right, let's grab that ribbon and tie a bow. So while I'm thinking about it, everybody just think about us tomorrow. We have to be at the hospital at 2. So I'm sure Bill's not going to have his procedure. We probably won't get in there until 4, I'm sure. And that's probably a early estimate. Hopefully we won't be there all day, because the hardest part is he's got to stop eating at midnight. And that's so hard when you're a diabetic. All right, so I'm going to grab some sticky glue dots. I'm going to add it right about here in the center of this little swag and add my bow. So there is the front of card 2. Then we're going to grab our mat, which is, I believe, 5 1/4 by 4. And then our basic white 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And I'm going to grab the die cut. This is from the Eden's Garden, which is retiring, which is a shame because these dies are really pretty. And I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom. And I'm going to add it right to the bottom of this layer. And then turn it over. Grab my scissors. And trim it off. So like I said, I die cut this edge from the designer series paper. He has to have another cancerous tumor removed from his bladder. The cancer came back after his treatments. So he's got to go back in, and they want to, hopefully it didn't go into his, hopefully it's still in the lining and did not go any deeper. So that is what's happening tomorrow. And he hasn't been feeling good, so I'm a little concerned with this one. His heart rate's been in the 30s, he's been in pain, and I just don't know what it is. All right, so there is card number 2. I will, Karen, definitely. All right. So now let's do the little box. We're going to start with Pear Pizzazz. Let's see. It is 7 1/4 by 3 1/2. Now I scored the long side. Let me just make sure. Yep. I scored the long side at 2 3/4, 3 1/2, 6 1/4, and 7. And then I turned it and I scored it at 3/4. Okay, so let's fold. This is a quick and easy little box. So we're just going to fold and burnish all our score lines. Now we just have to create our tabs. This small little rectangle on the edge, we are actually going to cut that out. And I put a little angle here. I angled, this is our tab. So I'm going to cut it on the left of that score line and create my tab. Same thing here, this time to the right of the score line. And then create my tab to the left of the score line. And then there's my tab. All right, so we just need it just like that on the bottom. Right here, we're going to add some tear and tape. You can use glue. Let's see where my tear and tape is. This one's the thin one. Let's see if I have my other one here. Yep. So this one's a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to run a piece of tear and tape, and I'm lining it up right against the score line. Get that piece off there. All right, so this is that little tiny 1/4-inch piece. And you'll see it's overhanging, so I'm just going to fold that over, just like that. And then I want to make sure, nope. We're going to line this up, and it should fit. Oop, I cut it too long. Look at that. Let me just see. Just checking. Hold on 1 second. I might have cut it off. Cut it wrong. 2 3/4. 2 3/4. That should be right. There we go. I'm sorry. If I fold it on the 1, 2, 3rd score line and hold this down, it does fit. All right, so then we have our box. Now here is our seam. So we're going to use this as the front of our box. So we'll put in our tabs, pull this one in first, and then the front of the box tab down. But before I do that, I am actually going to trim these pieces so they look nice and neat. So that's the inside piece. I'm going to add some glue and then make sure it's squared off and close it down. I'm just going to hold it down, grab my bone folder, and just make sure it is. Thank you. Thanks, Dawn. I appreciate it. Thanks. It's peeling. I did apologize for not getting them done today, but like I said, it was crazy getting things prepared for not being home tomorrow. All right, so now this is the base of our box. I am going to grab a little square of evening evergreen, and this is 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. Now where's my other little piece of basic white? Here it is. Nope, that's not it. All right, then I need a piece of basic white that is 2.5 by 2.5. So let me just quick cut this. All right, so we have a piece of basic white, 2.5 by 2.5. And I am going to grab that little tiny leaf again. If I know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. That's right, we put the veins, or I used it for the sentiment. And we're going to grab our pear pizzazz. And we're just going to stamp off again with the pear pizzazz to create a leafy background. All right, so ink it up. And we're just going to randomly stamp some leaves. Let's put something here. And I'll put something there. Just to create, so it's not a plain white background. And I'm going to use a little glue because I don't think I'll see it. And we're going to just layer this up. And let's add it to the front of this box. Now, if you need something to keep it secure, you can stick a block in there. All right, so there is the base of the box. Then I have another piece of evening evergreen, which measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then DSP 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. And I also scored this at 1/2 and then 1 1/4. And then the same with this piece, 1/2 and 1 1/4. Just so you know, when you score your designer series paper, make sure you do it gently because it does tend to tear. Now on the larger section, I'm just using my corner punch. And I am just going to punch these corners. And I'm going to do the same thing. Here's the larger section of the DSP. And again, I'm going to punch my corners. And I'm going to pull both pieces in. Let's just fold these up. And again. And I'm just going to grab some glue and add it to this piece. I'm going to take the designer series paper and lay it right on top. And while it's still wet, I'm just going to fold it again. All right. So it just adds an additional layer to this piece. And because I'm going to put this on the outside of the box, I'll show you here, just like this, I'm just going to angle these corners just like that. We can pull our box back in. I'm going to add some glue. You could use tearing tape. And I'm going to set this right on the back of the box, lining it up with that score line there. I just want to make sure, oops, I just moved it. That's good. We'll let that dry for a second. I did already stamped and punched a leaf. I'm just going to add some dimensionals, and I'm going to add it here to the box. Make sure they're stuck on there good. And then now that this is dry, I'm going to also use this leaf to hold the lid closed. Now, if you wanted, you could put a little Velcro dot under there, but I'm going to leave it just like that. Let's grab some little gold pearls, and I'm going to add one to this corner and this corner. So we have a cute little gift box. We have a thank you card. And a card to say hello. There we go. So just quick and easy little cards. I hope everybody likes them. I will have the PDF, believe it or not. Thanks, Stu. You're welcome, Karen. I'll have the PDF on my blog definitely in the morning because I'm just about finished with it. I just need to finish up my PDF, but my post is ready. So thanks for joining. I will be back on Sunday for our Simple Saturday, Stepped Up Sunday, and I hope you'll be able to join me. Thanks, Ruth. And don't forget about the clearance items. If there's any paper that you're looking for that was your favorite that's retiring, make sure you grab it before it's all gone. And I do have my designer series paper ribbon share and my in color club on my blog. So if you're interested, check it out, and I'll talk to you on Sunday. Have a great night. Thanks for joining me, ladies. Bye bye.